Right now, you cannot walk into a Chevrolet dealership and buy a new Camaro ZL1. Zero. None. Chevy killed the Camaro after the 2024 model year, and the only 2026 ZL1 that exists is a NASCAR Cup Series race car with a fresh body kit that you and I will never own. Meanwhile, Ford just teamed up with a two-time Formula Drift champion, stuffed a Whipple-supercharger under the hood of a Mustang GT, and started building it on an actual production line. It makes more horsepower than a Camaro ZL1 ever did. It's in dealerships right now, and depending on how you spec it, it can cost less than a well-optioned ZL1 did new. This is the 2026 Ford RTR Mustang. And today, we are reviewing every single inch of it: the design, the interior, the tech, the powertrain, the suspension, the pricing, all of it. And along the way, I'm going to show you exactly why this is the better track car to actually put your money into right now. Let's get into it. RTR stands for Ready to Rock, and it's the brainchild of Vaughn Gittin Jr., a two-time Formula Drift champion who's been modifying Mustangs since 2009. For over a decade, RTR Vehicles has been building aftermarket Mustangs and Broncos through a network of performance dealers, and over time, that relationship with Ford got closer and closer. For 2026, it's culminated in something new: the Mustang RTR lineup, sold and titled as new Fords, built on real production Mustangs straight from the factory floor. Now here's something important to clear up right away, because there's actually two different RTR products for 2026, and I want you to understand both before we go further. The first is the Mustang RTR package, a factory option you can add to an EcoBoost Mustang. It's the accessible entry point: styling, a drift brake, an active exhaust, but no power bump over the standard turbo four-cylinder. The second, and the one we're focused on today because it's the one built to go head-to-head with something like a ZL1, is the RTR Spec line: Spec 2, Spec 3, and the flagship Spec 5. These start life as a Mustang GT, and RTR massively upgrades the power, the suspension, the brakes, and the aero. That's our main character today, the Mustang RTR Spec 3. Up front, you've got the RTR upper and lower grills with integrated LED air intakes, a much more aggressive chin splitter and rocker splitters running down each side. There's a functional hood vent to help pull heat out of that supercharged engine bay, and every panel gap on this thing looks like it was designed around one goal: shove more air where it needs to go. Around back, there's a dedicated RTR deck lid spoiler, quarter splitters, and an exhaust note tuned specifically for this car through an active valve performance system. Then there's the stance. The Spec 3 rides on staggered RTR wheels, wider in the rear than the front, which is the same setup you'd see on a proper track-focused muscle car, wrapped in high-performance rubber. It sits low, wide, and purposeful. This is not a Mustang with a sticker package. The proportions are actually different from a stock GT. Color-wise, you'll typically find these in classic Mustang shades: shadow black, Oxford white, and many other colors, with RTR's signature hyper lime accents showing up as pinstriping, badge details, and interior stitching, depending on the spec level you choose. And I have to mention this because it's a really cool touch. Every Mustang RTR comes with a serialized dash plaque. It's a small thing, but it makes the car feel like it came out of a limited run, because in a lot of ways, it did. Step inside, and this is still fundamentally a Mustang GT cabin, which is a good thing, because the S650 generation Mustang has one of the best interiors this car has ever had. You get the twin-screen digital cockpit with the curved display housing both the gauge cluster and the infotainment screen, running Ford's Sync 4 system. What RTR adds on top of that is where it gets interesting. There's RTR-specific graphics baked right into those digital displays. The dash gets Hyperlime accent stitching, along with the center console and door pockets, depending on your options. Higher spec cars add RTR floor mats and a unique performance shift knob. Then there's the feature that defines this whole car's personality: the electronic drift brake. This isn't a cosmetic add-on, it's a factory co-developed system between Ford and RTR that lets you initiate a controlled slide at the pull of a lever independent of your regular brakes. It's a direct nod to Vaughn Gittin Jr.'s Formula Drift background, and it's something you simply do not get on a Camaro ZL1, discontinued or not. Depending on the trim, you'll also find Recaro leather-trimmed seats, a Bang & Olufsen 12-speaker sound system, driver's seat memory, and Ford's full Co-Pilot 360 suite of driver assist tech, automatic emergency braking, lane keeping, blind spot monitoring. So, while the exterior and the drivetrain scream track car, the cabin hasn't sacrificed daily drivability to get there. All right, let's get to the number that got this car on everyone's radar. 810 horsepower. That comes from a 3-liter Ford Performance Whipple-supercharger bolted onto the Mustang GT's 5.0-liter Coyote V8, producing 810 horsepower and 615 pound-feet of torque. If you step up to the range-topping Spec 5, a limited run of just 50 units a year, RTR bumps that even further to 870 horsepower and 660 pound-feet, using a Stage 2 version of that same Whipple setup. For context, that's more horsepower than the Mustang GTD, Ford's own halo track car, and it costs roughly half as much. You can pair that power with either the 6-speed or the 10-speed automatic, and power gets to the ground through a 3.5/55 limited-slip rear axle. Now, quickly, back to that EcoBoost RTR package I mentioned earlier, because if 810 horsepower is more than you need, or you want something closer to $36,000 to start, that version uses the standard turbocharged 2.3-liter 4-cylinder at 315 horsepower and 350 pound-feet, with RTR adding an anti-lag system for sharper throttle response and that same electronic drift brake. It's not about outright power, it's about accessible, tail-happy fun. Two very different missions, one badge. But for today, we're sticking with the V8 Spec 3, because that's the one actually built to go toe-to-toe with something like a ZL1's supercharged 6.2-liter V8, which made 650 horsepower and 650 pound-feet in its final form. Horsepower is only half the story, and RTR clearly knew that because the chassis work here is extensive. The Spec 3 uses RTR's tactical performance suspension package, adjustable front and rear sway bars, adjustable front struts, adjustable rear shocks, and lowering springs. That means you can actually dial in the car's behavior for a track day versus a daily commute, rather than being stuck with one compromised setting. Braking comes from a Brembo system with performance linings, and the whole car sits on those staggered RTR wheels wrapped in Nitto NT555 G2 tires, 275 section up front, 295 out back, mounted to 20-inch wheels. That's a serious amount of contact patch. And reviewers who've driven it back this up. Multiple outlets have described the Spec 3 as transforming the way a Mustang behaves, sharper turn-in, noticeably less body roll through fast direction changes, and more stability under hard braking compared to a standard GT. One review flat-out called it the most fun you can have in a Mustang. So on paper, big power, adjustable suspension, serious brakes, sticky tires, this is shaping up to be exactly the kind of track car it needs to be to make a case against a ZL1. Now, I have to be straight with you. When Car & Driver and Edmunds independently tested the Mustang RTR Spec 3, the results were controversial. Despite the 810 horsepower, the Spec 3 actually ran 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, slower than a stock manual Mustang GT at 4.2 seconds. It was slower in the quarter mile too, and it posted a lower skid pad grit number and a longer braking distance from 70 miles per hour than the regular GT it's built from. Vaughn Gittin Jr. publicly pushed back hard on those results. Here's what's actually going on. The Spec 3 doesn't touch the Mustang's stock traction and stability control software, so when you dump 810 horsepower through the rear wheels off the line, the electronics are fighting a battle they were never calibrated for. Reviewers described the launch as a genuine fight between driver, tires, and computer, wheel spin, power cuts, and a messy start. So does that kill the better track car argument? Honestly, no, and here's why. A drag strip launch is one very specific, very artificial test. The same reviewers who recorded those disappointing numbers also praised the car's actual on-track composure, its steering feel, its confidence through corners, and called it more engaging to drive hard than the stock GT it's based on. RTR themselves have said plainly that the Spec 3 isn't built to win quarter-mile shootouts. It's built to be thrown sideways, driven hard on a road course, and enjoyed the way Vaughn Gittin Jr. actually drives. Compare that to a ZL1, which is a phenomenal drag strip and lap time machine, genuinely excellent in a straight line and on a big track, but you cannot buy one new anymore. So the real comparison isn't which car posts a better number today. It's which one of these can you actually go get, backed with a factory warranty, and build a relationship with the company behind it. Right now, that's the Mustang RTR. Full stop. Let's talk money. The Mustang RTR Spec 3 starts in the neighborhood of $79,000 to $80,000, depending on the dealer and options, and can climb north of $100,000 once you start adding packages. That's roughly $33,000 over a standard Mustang GT for the supercharger, the suspension, the brakes, and all the RTR-specific hardware. If you want the absolute flagship, the Spec 5 starts at $159,999, gets you 870 horsepower, a wide-body carbon kit, and is limited to just 50 units a year, genuinely rarer than plenty of exotics. And if you just want the RTR experience without the V8 price tag, remember that EcoBoost RTR package starts around $36,500 for the base fastback, plus about $6,500 for the package itself. Now, stack that against a ZL1. Because it's discontinued, your only option is the used market, and clean, low-mile ZL1s, especially 1LE track models, are commanding used prices well into six figures, sometimes rivaling what a brand-new RTR Spec 3 costs, minus the factory warranty, minus the ability to configure it yourself, and minus any manufacturer support if something goes wrong. When you put it that way, the value case for the RTR isn't even close.